So this slide is actually a very interesting part of, very recently in June when we were traveling in Spain. And I think a lot like brands need to adapt to millennials or people like me. I think when we travel, even our parents are adapting to how we travel and what we do. And even though we're discussing, and we've been talking about this since morning about how we're this Snapchat, selfie obsessed generation, you like it, you hate it, but you really can't ignore it. And today we're really going to talk about how brands are remapping their view of the world to cater to our needs, which is the millennials. So please welcome my esteemed panel. We have Michelle from Ovalo Groups. We have Clement from Be My Guest and Bart from Amadeus. And today we're really going to deep dive into how remapping our view of the world changes people's idea of space, perception, and discovery. So before we kick off, we'd just like to show you guys a small video from Be My Guest, and then I'm happy to introduce and open the panel to you guys.
I never thought I'd visit a dojo, much less train to be a ninja.
Is there another name for girl ninja?
We call female ninja kunoichi.
Kunoichi.
I was very sure I had it in my blood, so I was over the moon. Hashtag badass. And because I completed all the activities from Be My Guest with flying colors, as expected, I know, right?
I have a bonus.
All right. So Clement is actually currently the co-founder and CEO of Be My Guest. And for those of you guys who are not really sure, Be My Guest is actually an amazing company where you go to their website and look for unique experiences, something that people like me are always, always, always on the lookout for. And Be My Guest is actually rated as one of the 50 most innovative companies in the world, and as I believe is one of the only Singapore startups to be actually listed on that category. So really excited to have Clement with us on this panel. And Clement, if you could share a little bit more about your story at Be My Guest and how you guys really got to being at this point of innovation where you guys are now so well known within the travel space.
Yep, thank you very much. I mean, if you look at the travel industry, you've got the flights, hotels, car rental, local accommodation, taxis, buses, trains, pretty much everything digitized and distributed, right? And what remains highly fragmented and very offline is still the activities, local attractions, and local tours. And what we are seeing is that a big shift in terms of how travelers are consuming products. So if you look at Gen X, Gen Y, the travelers used to be just in terms of travel collecting destinations. It used to be, wow, awesome, cool to travel to Paris, to New York, and so on. But these days, even my grandma can go to Paris and New York and on a tour group, so it isn't that much of a collecting of destinations. But for the millennials, the audience, we are seeing more of a collection of experiences, going to Paris to go on a wine tour or going to the New York City to experience. I do go and do the meatpacking district to discover how life is living there and so on. So it's more about collecting experiences, and I think that is one thing about the millennials. What we are seeing is with the Pokemon Go trend as well, they are very into collecting, and then once they collect very quickly, they want to share it and show off that, hey, I've got this already. So that's what we are leveraging on in terms of trying to capture the millennial audience. So for every one of our products, we have managed to meta tag the product, right? So whether it's more suitable, the activity is more suitable for someone who's more into culture or more into adventure or more into a relaxing holiday and so on. And with this data that we have available via our API, we are able to work with our partners that have the customer data. So for example, Zuji, they have the flight and booking data of the customer. So whether it's mom and pop with 2 teenage kids or just two working adults, we are able to tailor, offer them the right experience at the point in time through the data.
So super exciting to really think about how time is moving from people being part of this collecting generation to really people like me being part of this experiencing generation and experiencing economy. And as we speak about really experiences, I would like to also introduce Michelle from Overlow Groups, who's actually very, very involved in designing these experiences for her customers within the hotel business. And over to you, really, let's talk a little bit about how you are at Overlow mapping this experience end to end, right from people searching for hotels to booking it and post staying with you.
Yeah, is this on? Sorry, can you guys hear me? So at Overlow, we really believe that, traditionally hotels is all about you enter the hotel and you enjoy their service, you enjoy a nice bed, you enjoy a nice shower, and that's about it. But at Overlow, we understand that millennials are always changing, and as you guys are mentioning, they are really looking for a unique experience. They're looking to collect memories. So we start that journey from way before they even know about our brand, from when they're going, oh, I want to go somewhere, and doing their research. We start targeting them with ads. We start talking to them on social media. We have a lifestyle blog that we talk about experiences in the different cities that we're in. So we start communicating with the guests right from the start to their booking journey, and making sure that after they book with us, they get all the information they need to have the most out of their stay with us, as well as the areas that they visit while they're with us. And also, when they're arriving at our hotel, we make sure that at every touch point we give them different information. So for example, we have curated Google Maps that they can explore around the areas around the hotel. They can use the iPads to search for more information. We give them different tours around the hotel as well. So for example, we have a lot of art pieces inside our hotels, and we have curated art tours that they can take a little booklet and just guide themselves around the hotels. So really for us, it's not about just the service, but about what they experience while they're with us, and what memories they can take away with them. And to add to that, we recently introduced Radio Overload, which is a playlist of our curated music that we play in our hotel as well. So we welcome anyone to, after their stay, they can take the sound of Overload home with them by downloading the playlist from Spotify and listening to what they listen to at the hotel. So the experience really doesn't end when they check out. It's about taking it home with them and having that memory with them.
That's really fantastic. So we're talking about really understanding the needs of this millennial generation and really giving them the right tools and capabilities to experience this end to end. And I'm really curious to understand from Bart as well, who is currently the head of corporate strategy at Amadeus and is doing some amazing stuff with Amadeus Next, which we'll talk about later as well. But really, how do you at Amadeus see millennial behavior changing? Like, what are some of their unique traits? What really makes them stand out?
Hi. Just before I go into that, just one question. Does everybody knows what Amadeus is and what we do? Who doesn't know it? That cannot be. Most of you have, well, all of you have used us, but we're a B2B company. We provide the technology behind the travel industry. So we're the market leader in travel tech. Just to give that. The reason why it's important, because I'm trying to link these experiences, this personalization into what technology, because in order to do that, as seamless as online booking, you need to have the technology in place. So what we have done, like I think 2 years ago, we did the survey on millennial travelers, what is upcoming, because of course you need technology to do that. Of course, yes, it's all true what everybody's been saying. They're more demanding. They know what they want it now. So looking at technology, that means you have to have access to everything. You have to have 24 hours, 7 days on 7 access. You don't want it now, right? So that is definitely so. The other thing is that it doesn't matter anymore in travel. The question is no longer, where have you been? The question is, what have you done? Now that gives a complete new opportunities, but also challenges in technology. Because it's no longer about, okay, where do you want to go? I want to go to Indonesia, right, to Bali. No, it is about how do you feel and what do you want to do. So it's more about finding the feelings, the attitudes of people, the behaviors of people. So that, bridging that in technology is of course very, 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 very difficult. And that's what we're working on at the moment. And then last but not least, of course, I mean, we've heard that throughout the day, I'm sure, millennials are very social. They want to be connected constantly with their inner circle, with their friends, but also with their brands. And brands need to connect, of course, with the millennials. Now that is an opportunity, but also the big challenge. Because I'm not a millennial, as you might see, right? Just over it, no, seriously. I have a son that is a millennial, and he's well, just a millennial, the 18-year-old. He's backpacking. Now, the way they are backpacking today now is completely different the way that I did it. I was in this little pension on a hut with no toilet, with nothing. He's in a villa. You know what? Because he knows it's there. Because it's cheap. He pays, like, I'm speaking in euro, 15 euro for it. I would never have found it. So millennials they are very demanding because they have all the choices in the world, so they can.
I really loved how you highlighted the question about it's not just where have you been, but it's really about what have you done. And that really goes back to a lot of what we're talking about, experiences as well with Clement. And it's really about, for example, when we went to our trip in Spain, it wasn't really, oh, we went on this city tour in Barcelona. It was more, when we came back, it was, oh, we lived in the middle of an olive farm in the middle of nowhere in Spain. And I'm sure that platforms like Be My Guest and equivalent would really help accelerate finding these places in terms of discoverability and remapping our ideas. So really curious from Clement, actually, to hear some more thoughts about this changing behavior and how you're really leveraging on this changing behavior as a business.
I think one of the key things that we are seeing is that when millennials, when they travel, they try to, as part of getting new experiences, they also want to meet new people. So to your point, right, when we were, during the earlier days before mobile phones, when you did backpacking, you go to a hostel, you're alone, one person, two persons, and all you had to do was just go to the front desk and ask the guy, oh, what can I do? And it's just the top 5 same things to do and so on, right? So, and then say you want to rent, let's say you want to get a driver to take you around. It's quite costly as well. So a lot of millennials, the travelers, backpackers, that time they aren't able to leverage on the economies of scale to group together to do something together. But right now, what we are seeing as well is very interesting with the different hotel partners they're doing. It's that they are able to get their guests that are staying together at the same time, interested in an activity, and trying to organize it for them through technology. So you check in, and it's kind of like a guest posting, oh, I want to do a cooking class tomorrow. Is there anybody else wanting to join? And 4 persons join. The cost is no longer $200 per person. It becomes $50. So what we are seeing is that using technology like Instagram or the hostel's Facebook page, they are able to share this, right? The hostel guests are able to share, hey, I'm doing I'm staying at this hostel. I'm doing this cooking class tomorrow. Who's in? Right? So we are able to see this kind of collaborative consumption patterns among the millennials rising, coming up across.
Yeah, and really interesting. So this, I want to do this tomorrow, or I want to do this now, I want to do this today, I wish I did this yesterday. We're somehow part of this now generation within this me generation, right? So really curious from Michelle's point of view, how, when we talk about really this behavior about everything is not only just a click away. To be honest, now everything is a tap away. We want to do everything right now, in the moment. How do you guys deal with this at Overload Groups, and what is some of the things that you guys are doing to really cater to this now generation?
So millennials, I guess as we've all gathered, they're very impatient. If something isn't available right away, they don't want it. So if you don't make yourself available to them as soon as they want it, you lose them. So what we do is we think about every step of the way for their journey from booking to staying with us to after they stay. Where are the touch points where we can communicate with them and give them more? So for example, for our booking process is a very simple 4-step process, which we're trying to cut down to 3 now, just to make sure that we don't lose them along the way. From before check-in, we provide them all the information they need about when they need to come in, what they need to bring, what they don't need to bring, how to catch a taxi, how to even, for Hong Kong, how to speak Cantonese to the taxi drivers. So they get all that information sent to them by email before they arrive, so they have all that with them. As soon as they come in, we give them information they need as well. We give them, like I said before, curated Google Maps for them to explore. In their rooms, we have a quick guide of a list of everything they need in the hotel. So when is your free breakfast happening? When is your free happy hour happening? All these different things. Just making sure that they have the right access to the information to enjoy the experience as much as possible is the key.
So I guess information is really a very, very vital asset today when we think about millennials and really how we think about our travel journey per se. And talking about information availability, I think it's a lot to do with how technology is moving, right? So let's think about a little bit about how fast technology is moving, and really, is it moving as fast as we want it in terms of the information we want now? And Bart, really excited to hear your thoughts from a technology perspective about how you see this really who's chasing who story.
Thanks. Well, the easy answer would be no, technology is not fast enough. But I think it's faster than most people think. And I give you the best example I can give you today. I mean, the hype today is Pokemon Go, right? This is 7-year-old technology. So the technology is there to do the things. And it's also getting this technology in hands of consumers. And every startup is trying to do it on their own, rather than leveraging the players already there. Maybe rather than doing B2C, take that technology and provide it into B2B. So that is definitely so. But looking at also the trends, what we see, I mean, and there are like 5 trends that we think are definitely shaping the future of travel, which is, of course, the Internet of Things. And we've invested into a company, BlueSmart, which is a smart suitcase. So this one is calling an Uber before you're landing. It's, of course, the virtual reality. I mean, can you really experience your trip before you're there? It's the sharing economy. It's here to stay, that's very clear. Chat and bots. Now, I mean, WeChat, of course, is the example always used. You can do anything in there. But not only that, I mean, hotels are adapting. In Las Vegas, for instance, there is a hotel, Link Hotel. And, I mean, you come in, you don't need to go to the reception anymore. You can do everything there with WeChat, up to opening the door. Yeah? And if you want to book a tour, you do it through WeChat, and there is even a robot there at the reception. And, yeah, these are the technology trends that we are seeing at the moment.
So you talked about, when we look about the future, which is now the present, we're talking about virtual reality and chatbots. So really curious to know, I think Clement and Michelle as well, like how do you see your companies really integrate this technology? Do you think it's a fad, or do you think it's really something that's going to make your business model unique and ready for like the next wave of technology that's going to sweep everything away?
I think I just got this question just last week at another conference about chatbots and travel, right? Chatbots are only as good as the info that you input into it. So I think one of the hurdles that technology has to overcome is the privacy issue, right? So unless you input all your likes, dislikes, and all these fields into Facebook, it's very difficult for me to, as a company, to target you. Let's say if you're like doing outdoor stuff, even if I give Facebook my API, right, and I have all the activities accordingly, but unless you give out your privacy settings, it is very difficult for it to do. That's what we are seeing the likes of WhatsApp trying to do, right? Say, waive your privacy rights, so that we can learn more about you and so on. And also the rise of, like, there are people saying Facebook Messenger recording, or listening into your conversations, right? So, and using that to target advertising to you. So there is a fine boundary between, being able to really market to you and whether you give up that personal information. And for us, I think in Asia at this point in time, I think chatbots are gonna come into the picture, but not as much as in the West. The rise of chatbots is predominantly because labor costs are very expensive in Europe and in the US, whereas in Asia, hospitality is still very key to travel. And so it will be a hybrid. So using messaging bots to provide customer service as part of that.
I see Bart disagree a little bit. I'm curious to hear.
I have to react on this, of course, because I think, honestly, this is something that initiated in the East. I mean, WeChat was already using kind of bots couple of years ago. The reason why Facebook and Microsoft are now adopting this is because they want to become the WeChat of the West. Okay? So because they are seeing that WeChat in China has become it's not an app, it's an ecosystem. It has so many different apps and features in it that it really has become the one app that hosts all the apps. So in a way, it has become a new operating system. And of course, Facebook and Microsoft are looking at, oh, that's one reason. The second reason is WeChat is making a lot of money. And if you compare it to the money the Messenger and Microsoft is making, that's like zero almost. So that's the reason, of course, they're now hyping a little bit the bot. And it is a great technology, but definitely, like Clement has said, this will only be really relevant when the back-end systems are there. Because if you ask a question and then you have to translate it into something in the feelings, in the attitude, in the behavior of the people, and then respond immediately, well, I think a human can do that better at this moment. So that will take a little bit more time.
So I get a sense that Bart is saying yay, Clement is saying nay. Michelle, what about you? What's your verdict? Yes or no? Where do you see overload groups going in the near future?
Chatbots?
Chatbots, VR, just rise of these disruptive
We're not really
technology.
looking into chatbots at the moment. I guess we're still waiting to see what we can do with it in terms of that. But VR, we're definitely looking into. I mean, at the end of the day, whether you're at a hotel or on a tour doing something, it's about the experience. And a lot of people now want to be able to at least have a look or trial that experience before making the booking and confirming their stay or their tour. So virtual reality is definitely something that can help in that sense. Even just a 360 photo that you can drag around and look around the room, that can already convince someone to stay with you rather than just a 2D photo.
Fantastic. And just shifting gears a little bit, I think going back to our topic about remapping our view of the world, I think it's not just, as we know from the topic headline as well, it's not just about experiences and discovery, it's also about our concept of space. And when you come to think about it, in the past when you had closed cubicles or office rooms, and now we have these open and collaborative places where we all want to talk to each other, hang out on beanbags. I mean, Bart, from your perspective, how do you see this change? And really to think about you, Michelle, as well, if you can take the question first, where do you see space as a concept changing?
Yeah, so it's not about just what you, so for going back to hotels again, it's not just about going to your room and having the bed and shower. For example, at Overload, we try to build a community. So at every Overload, we have what's called a low lounge, which is where we also provide the free happy hour and people come and actually meet other guests and enjoy each other's company.
I love free happy hour.
Yes. So we encourage our guests to actually communicate with each other and find out why other people are there as well. And taking that concept a little further, we also realize that this space can also be used, because a lot of people we notice come to the low lounge to work as well. So we started to identify that because of the growth of startups as well, the startup community. We came up with a new program called Mojo Nomad, which is the first live-in co-working space. So basically you're sharing the space to live, to work, and it's a co-working space, but you're staying there as well, and everything's taken care for you, so you can focus on your business and focus on networking with other people that also share the same sort of beliefs and your business ideas.
So we're talking about community and really, to the point where we're moving to an idea of a live-in community within the travel startup space. And when we think about community and the way it's changing, online or offline, Bart, really curious to hear your point of view. I know you guys are really trying to foster that startup community within Amadeus itself. So could you share a little bit more about what your viewpoint on community is and how you think that's really remapping our view of how, we think about the world, especially space in general?
Yeah. Well, community concept is really what we started end of last year, when we saw that in the travel tech space, which is the largest e-commerce business in the world, right? There are not really travel tech verticals. I think in a year and a half, this is the first event I've been on, there is a specific travel tech vertical, okay? Which was for a market leader in travel tech something that okay, what do we do with this? You have to take up your responsibility to the industry, and maybe we have to take a place in there. So then it's very easy to do a corporate incubator, a corporate accelerator, help them for 3 months, 6 months, take some equity, and then see what happens. So we said, no, that's not what we want to do. We want to really drive travel tech forward. So what's the best way to do so? Now, rather than thinking inside the building with a lot of very smart people, we went outside, we talked to startups in a lean startup way, we talked to venture capitalists, we talked to media companies, in fact, the entire community around travel tech. And what we found out is that a leader like Amadeus can drive it, yeah? Partner with startups, provide them also within that community access to technology for free, expertise, even our customers. We connect them with the largest OTAs, the largest airlines in the world. Right? And ultimately, maybe even funding. But we can't do it all by ourselves because we have an existing business model, and the reason why you do this is to find the new things. So that's why we partner up with tech companies, with venture capitalists, with media companies, with our customers to really find these new travel tech companies and then see and nurture them and help them. And it can be 6 months, 12 months, 2 years. We are trying to get them up to a moment that they find product market fit, which is the moment that they find their business model. And just linking back and in these 6 months really working as a startup, we have now accepted 27 startups. And if I'm looking back for this event, I was like, okay, do we have startups in the area that millennials need? Yes. We have some like Tripoto or Travel Libro in India who was doing social travel. We have artificial intelligence company, GoHero. We have natural language processing in there. We have very personalized tours of very local tours or peer-to-peer sharing. And even we have one, and that was really unique, was the first worldwide, with a company called Seedfrog. If you're saying that millennials know what they want it now, so that means that up to 2 hours before the flight, they want to upgrade from economy to business, right? That was technically not possible because a booking changes to another system, the airline departure control, which we built. So we have been working together with them and an airline to make that happen. And they are now starting to test with an airline. So yeah.
Fantastic. On the note of community, I mean, all of us here are forming our own community as well, and really curious to hear some questions that you might have from the audience for our panel here.
Is there a mic? Is there a mic? Let me give you the mic. That means I don't get the question.
Thank you very much for this great talk, guys. What are the barriers and the challenges you face when you address to millennials? Because it's great to think, okay, now from the previous talk we understood, okay, now we have to think about personas more than like demographics, etc. But what about language? Like, do you address, if you can address the same way to a Chinese millennial and a Western millennial, but still you have some barriers? I would say, is language still a barrier or not? And what kind of other thing you need to overcome to address them?
I think what we've seen is, I think at the beginning of this session, you saw this video that we showed, right? So we've done this in a collaboration with MediaCorp, and that was a travel series that is purely digital. So it's not on TV. And we have the exclusive rights to further syndicate it, distribute it in various different languages as we wanted, right? And we've done it not just in English, but also in Thai and so on. And what we are seeing is that the consumption behavior of this media, that it has to be very short, right? So the commonality is it's got to be 7 to 10 minutes max, no longer than that. Doesn't really matter what language it is. Even if you go to China, they are watching Hollywood TV series with subtitles and everything. So the millennials are very used to this subtitling thing and so on. But it is more about, I want it now, I want to do this now, I want to show this off to my friend. That's why Snapchat is so popular. That's why Pokemon has taken off. It's like, I've got it, now I'm going to show off straight away. So that is what we call the common language rather than by different countries and so on.
Michelle, do you have a viewpoint?
Yeah, I think it's finding ways to communicate without using actual language if language is a barrier. So for example, we did a TVC a year ago, and it's literally about 15 people where we showed them, we don't show the picture on the screen, but we showed the people watching something that was ridiculous or scary, and we filmed their reaction, and all their reactions were, oh, 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 oh. And that's a really universal sort of, oh, there's a surprise element, there's a shock factor, and that's how we convey that our brand, there's always something happening, there's always something different. And also, I guess, collaborating with the right media partners as well to kind of target the right audience in their local languages, that's very important.
So it's so what we're talking about is language really a big barrier, and is travel a universal language, is social sharing a universal language, or is it really the need to localize to a market so much so that you really tap into all their identity needs, which does include language? So Bart, what's your point of view on that?
Well, language barrier, I think my fellow colleagues already mentioned something. I think by far travel is emotion. And that's going to be the real key, to get into what is the emotion you as a traveler want to get out of this experience. And then language might be a barrier, but culture becomes an even bigger barrier, because what is an emotion for me as a European or a Belgian might be completely different as an emotion for somebody in Singapore, in Thailand. So trying to find that's going to be really the key. Get into the emotions, the attitudes, the behavior of the people, and then you come to what Michelle is saying, then it becomes a common worldwide language. Don't use words.
Fantastic. So on the note that travel is an emotion and it's our common language between all of us seated here, I'd like to close the panel. So thank you so much for being here and really spending time talking about millennials, and talking to a millennial myself. I think it's been fantastic to hear what brands think and are really doing behind the scenes to really reach out to us. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.